You know, with the prices of everything going up, it's still possible to get a walnut stock PCP for less than £600 UK. Let's take a look, shall we? Hello and welcome to AAR on Air. Today is the turn of the Kervan Airboss. Let's get straight to the stats, shall we? It is exactly a metre long or 39.5 inches. It tips the scales unscoped at a hair under 4 kilograms or 8 pounds 12.5 ounces, which is Karl territory. And indeed, this is made in Turkey. You know, they must breed them big in Turkey. As always, there are two arguments to the weight issue. The first one is to have a butler to be able to carry it round for you when you're out on the move all day. The other is that extra weight does give stability when resting to take the shot. Whilst we're on the length part, the 1000mm length isn't really accurate, because if you're using this for pest control or within earshot of your neighbours, then you're going to need to add a silencer, because this isn't what you would call quiet. That cover around the barrel is just that. It's a cover. It's not a sound moderating shroud. Now, I fitted the QGS8 onto this, which added another 200mm and seriously reduced the bark from this barrel. However, this then highlighted the noise from the back end, which does have quite a ping to it. Naturally, the barrel is threaded and does have a standard 1/2" UNF thread to it, so the choice of silencers available is considerable. Below this matte black covered barrel is a serious size 500cc gloss black air tank for about 1 million shots per fill in sub 12 foot-pound UK spec. This is naturally for the foreign markets and the FAC guys to still give them a high shot count, even at full power. If the large capacity wasn't enough, then you can fill it up to 250 bar too. The fill gauge is on the neck and is nice and clear with colour-coded yellow, green, red to show the 250 bar max fill and the usable range. There is no regulator gauge though. When you start to drop down from here, you come to the Turkish walnut stock, which has more curves and shapes than an episode of Love Island. The filler nipple is directly below the gauge and looks like it's been mined out of the stock like an open cast quarry. I can't help thinking this could have been finished off a little better, or at least a slot-in cover or filler supplied to just smooth this hole over. Maybe some 3D printing company will come up with a solution. After making such an observation around this cutout, they then perfectly shape the trigger guard out of the same piece of wood, and they make such a beautifully shaped ergonomic pistol grip and infill with stippling. This then blends into the rest of the stock all the way back to the cushioned rubberized butt pad. There is an adjustable cheek riser to help get the best eye relief and position for your scope. Sadly, the rifle I have has got some small damage in this area straight out of the box. This is a shame because the rest of the finish is really pretty good. Working back to the top and the business part, there is a side lever arm. The action is defined and smooth. It's not notchy or gritty, and there's no flex or wobble at all. The top rail is dovetail, which is not what the importers claim, but I think it looks better for it rather than a military style Picatinny rail. There are 2 magazines supplied in the included budget hard case. And this being the .22 caliber version, it holds 12 rounds. There are .177 and .25 calibers available also. Loading these magazines is the typical rotate clockwise the clear perspex front cover, drop in your first pellet skirt first, then it will hold itself in place, go round, drop the remaining pellets in until you're all full. The interesting point as well is when you introduce it to the rifle, it's the round end first. Now, whilst this method can sometimes feel a little too much trouble, the good news is it does have a lock open after last shot, which is a feature I really like. The safety on this is on the right hand side and is an oversized Viroc-esque forward for fire and back for safe. This is not an automatic safety, which does give you the ultimate control. The trigger is two-stage and adjustable. It mimics the BSA style of trigger, but not as adjustable. Power testing time then. Let's get this over the chronograph to see what the 22 caliber is doing. Using 15.89 grain pellets, it saw 551 feet per second, which is 10.71 foot-pounds or 14.53 joules. I then shot the heavier dead centre pellets at 18.13 grain and it saw 520 feet per second, which is 10.89 foot-pounds or 14.76 joules. These figures are just a hair low and could probably do with dropping back to the supplier to get them a little closer to 12 foot-pound limit, but with still a little breather space for heavier pellets. I then put some glass on the top of this Airboss to get it down the range. Now, I have chosen quite a budget Hugo 3-12 scope, which is one I just had lying around. Now, I've heard really good things about the dead centre pellets, so I will be trying these at the same time. Here goes. It's a cool one this morning. It really is. The sun's now up, blue skies, amazing. We've just got over Storm Badass or whatever it was. Badette, I think it was, or Badat. Badass is probably nearer the point. It's cost me a carpet and a flooring and everything else, but hey, there you go. Things like that happen. I do sympathise for people who have had major issues, and around here there have been one or two places. I live up on a hill, so... and I still got it. Anyway, there you go. By the by, Storm Badat, I think it is. This one is the Kervan Airboss in its Turkish walnut finish. All splendiferous, as it were. It could do with a silencer. I've put one on the end. QGS 8 just gone on there, which actually looks the part. It's a bit heavy, bit big. You've got more air in there than you're going to need for a month of Sunday's shooting, I think, with a 500cc bottle. I've put a simple Hugo 3-12 on the top on there because that's what I'd got lying around, and the Hugo is not a bad scope. This is a 12 round magazine on this 2.2 version, and what I am actually firing is the JTS dead center pellets. Now, I've had these a while. They come in 16 grains and 18 grains, 18 and a bit, 16 and a bit, and I've heard so many good stories coming back about them, so I thought I'd give them a go. So here I am. I'm going to use it in this Turkish gun. Way up, we've got strips of stuff blowing around everywhere, and see how we fare. It's a side lever, and it's not too bad a side lever. The trigger is a bit heavy, I must admit. Apparently it's adjustable, so it's as if they've mimicked a match grade trigger in part, but not gone the whole hog. It's strange design, really, and you do feel like there's odd sharp bits around the wood. It could do with a little bit more of a finish off, to my mind, but hey, that's not untypical of Turkish guns. But the main thing is we're out at 40 meters. I have part zeroed this in 2.2, which is unusual for me. And again, it's the grouping that we're interested in. It's a calm day. That's it. So to keep going on forever. Let's go and see what we've got, shall we? Here we go. Big holes. It's a 2.2 as opposed to a 1.77 which I normally shoot. The one thing I will say is the vast majority have actually finished up making the one hole, which is not too bad as far as a group, and it's basically shot the centre of the target out. The initial ones were over here. Now, it's not the Formula 1 book of excuses. I've just come from shooting a gun with a really, really nice trigger, quite light trigger, and it was a beautiful gun to use. And this one is quite heavy. So the initial shooting, it was taking some getting used to on that trigger because you're pulling. That's the reason that I would put on it, because that was how I felt when I was shooting it. Once it settled down a bit, we're starting to put them through the same hole. I do believe that this is quite a capable little gun. I wouldn't take it to a match, but certainly for personal use, a spot of pest control and everything else, I think it's pretty good. The dead centres have proven themselves to be pretty good. It's nothing against them. In fact, for 2 pins, I'm going to try another target, and maybe I'll put that at the end of the video. But for now, there is the Turkish Airboss, made by Kervan Arms in its walnut splendour. Back to the studio. Well, when bench resting the Airboss, that extra weight does seem to give you an advantage. The trigger was giving me a little bit of grief because I wasn't used to it. So I shot it again, and there is another example at the end of the video. It does have a nice feel to it. I would prefer a thumbs up shooting style, but that is a very personal point, and I know lots of people who prefer this grip style. To my mind, not one for the slight individuals, but if you like your crowds, then I would say you're going to love this. That's it for this week. Please give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, feel free to share, and click the old notification alarm bell. Check out the chats and lots of other stuff. Take a look at the AAL On Air website, and a big thank you to the guys at Vector Air for their help in this one. And always, really. The main thank you, as always, goes out to you guys for watching and supporting what we're trying to do here on the channel. Please stay safe and shoot safe, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Right, let's give this Kervan Arms another chance, shall we? Right, let's give this Kervan Arms another chance, shall we? That's pretty capable. First one, getting used to that trigger again. Once you're used to it, the results are pretty good, to be fair. And that is a 2.2. They're all about the size of my fingernail, over at 40 meters. That's acceptable. That's more than acceptable. Yeah, not bad. You just got to get used to it.